Well, the first New in the Nation primary was held by default. In other words, no other state or national party tried to take it away from us since 1920. But in the 1970s, some of the other states saw the importance, the relevance of being first. So there were efforts to jump ahead of New Hampshire.
And so fast forward from 1920 to the 1970s, set the scene for us. What was happening, and why was the status of New Hampshire's primary at risk?
It was at risk for two reasons. That is 1968 and 1972. In 1968, the Vietnam War was going on heavily. I was a student at UNH, saw a lot of body bags. My generation saw a lot of body bags coming back from Vietnam. The 60s were upheaval in the United States. We had gone through 3 assassinations, John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King in the 1960s. And we saw 68 come along, and it became like a civil war among Democrats in New Hampshire because of the national politics. Gene McCarthy, a United States Senator from Minnesota, decided to run in New Hampshire. Lyndon Johnson did not put his name on the ballot, though it was clear as an incumbent president he was going to run again. So the election in New Hampshire was held on March 13th, 1968. It was a snowy day, and Gene McCarthy ended up getting a pretty good vote. Johnson got just under 50% of the write-ins. A big write-in effort was put on for him, but Gene McCarthy did very well, got about 5-6% less. But he made his mark, and that left bad feelings among a lot of New Hampshire Democrats between one another. Then 72 came around, and in 72 we had George McGovern running in New Hampshire against a neighboring United States Senator of ours, Edmund Muskie from Maine. A lot of the powers who were in the Democratic Party in New Hampshire supported Muskie. George McGovern did extraordinarily well again, and was considered the winner of the New Hampshire primary. So at that point, a lot of Democrats, among those of each side, feeling that that divided the party too much. They were not excited about having the primary anymore. And on the Republican side, Watergate just took the excitement of national politics from New Hampshire Republicans. So as 1975 came around, I think it was kind of clear that we were about to give up our primary and let another state be able to do it. So that's when I sponsored the law, and it didn't get immediate support. There was a lot of opposition, but because of a bipartisan attitude on the part of the then governor, I was Democrat, he was Republican, Meldrum Thompson, who he supported it. He got some of the Republicans to support it. We had a lot of Democrats supporting it, so we ended up passing the law that says New Hampshire shall be 7 days or more ahead of any other state.
What would New Hampshire look like right now had that not happened?
I think we would have lost it in 1976. There were initial efforts in 1975 to have a regional primary. That had a lot of Democrats in several neighboring states jumping up and down and saying, yeah, let's do that. Let's have a regional primary including Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and Massachusetts, perhaps Connecticut, doing it on the same day. There was some enthusiasm from the national Democrats to do that. National Republicans thought that would be a good idea too. But there was still some people in New Hampshire who wanted to make sure that we were going to be first. I was, of course, one of those. There were some Republicans who, despite Watergate and all of the problems that brought to the national and local Republican Party, that they wanted to be first too. So there was a coalition there. And in large part because of the bipartisanship that we were able to generate in the mid-1970s. Hard to do that nowadays, but at least in those days, Democrats were able to talk with Republicans. I talked with some Republicans, including Governor Meldrum Thompson. He got some on me. He was thinking of running for president himself in 1976, almost did. So anyway, he supported the primary. He ended up endorsing Ronald Reagan in 1980. But a lot of Democrats and Republicans came together and did it.
What happens if New Hampshire isn't first in the future?
I think it will be. If it doesn't, I think America will go on. But I do think that the New Hampshire presidential primary through the years has proven its value. It's American democracy at its best.